What do you know about the Sierra program?
Reckless mystery men you guys send in when you can't officially send anyone else.
The gray man.
I'm sorry I didn't bring you a gift.
Word from the homeland? I mean, how?
They say A. That sounds so like a non-Canadian saying that.
I have Ruffles all dressed chips.
Ryan, you are such a Canadian right now. Congratulations on this movie. This is one of the best action movies I've ever seen, all due to your performance and the Russos, who are just a magical, magical combination. I wanted to ask.
Thank you for saying that.
Of course. I wanted to ask you, I know you said that you had no idea what you were signing up for. So if your expectation level was that it was going to be like here,
Yeah.
where was it? Give me a scale.
It's like there.
Like higher than that?
Yeah, like right. Go a little higher.
A little higher? Okay.
You know, down a little.
Okay.
Like there.
It was about there. Okay, so it wasn't like that.
No, I didn't know that was an option.
It's an option.
I thought it stopped.
No. Can you sort of describe sort of the level of it? Because I know you talked a little bit about how there was one fight scene between you and Chris
Yeah.
where he sort of walked on set and said, "What's the choreography? Got it."
Yeah.
And you said you were up all night
Yeah.
studying.
It was, it took a village. I had an incredible stunt team, special effects wizards, a lot of people, make the gray man.
Giving everybody else credit, give yourself a little bit. How intense was the sort of getting into it for you? I mean, it's such a different thing than we've seen you do.
Yeah, I always wanted to make an action movie, so I couldn't complain, This was but this was extreme. I think by most action movie standards, this is extreme because this has 9 action set pieces
Right.
and most have half of that.
Yeah.
So even, it was a lot for me, of course, I've never done it, but even it made me feel better because the Russos were like, this is a lot of action.
It's a lot for even them.
And they've been doing it for the last 10 years, so that made me feel better.
So does it make you want to do more? Because you've typically also not really been a franchise person, but I know that's kind of been put out there that that's going to happen. So is that something that now you go, it's like an adrenaline rush, I want more?
Yeah, it's more fun than standing around and talking. It's fun. It's more fun to do it. It's more fun to watch it. It's definitely more fun.
What was fun was watching your one-liners. I think towards the end of the movie, I was leaning forward when I was anticipating one. For fans of the nice guys who
Yeah.
love your irreverence doing action and comedy, sort of how did you find those moments when you're memorizing all this choreography and then you have to deliver those one-liners? What's sort of the essence of it?
It's always weird when you have to ignore what's funny about a scene, in dramas that you just have to ignore what's funny, and it feels weird because things are funny, and so it was nice just to not have to do that. It felt more natural. It felt like more realistic in a lot of ways, because I think when you meet people that have tough jobs, they often you kind of got to laugh to keep from crying, but also it just reminded me of those 80s, 90s action movies that I grew up watching, and that was sort of part of why I loved them, is that they were fun.
That's kind of what it reminded me of. And as I'm dressed like a human Barbie, can you give me a little taste of how much of it is it going to subvert our expectations? Because I feel like what we think it is not going to be what it is.
That's I think Margot said it best. She said, that whatever you think it is not that. And I would never argue with Barbie. What Barbie says goes.
I got to leave it at that, Ryan.
Yeah.
So good to see a fellow Canadian.
Thank you. Nice to see
Do
you
I get to
too.
take the chips?
Oh, no. No, you can't have those.
You want to make an omelet? You got to kill some people.
You must be Lloyd. What gave it away? The trash stash. It leans Lloyd.
I'm going to start with you, Chris.
Okay.
You get to say these great one-liners, these great words like ballsy, which is in the trailer. You also get to call Ryan Kendall. Did you sort of make these up on the fly? Were these the Russo brothers? And how delicious was it to play this kind of a douchebag, slim pant, slinking around kind of character?
Yes, some of those things were on the fly. Some of those were the Russos just screaming things out behind the monitors. Look, it's nice. It's nice to play someone who's kind of so universally loathed. But in terms of the character himself, I don't think he sees himself as a bad guy.
They never do.
Actually, exactly.
I mean, I don't see myself as a bad person. I'm evil.
Me neither. You know what I mean? Me neither.
Well, the Russo brothers did say you're closer to Lloyd than Cap. How did you feel about that?
I don't know how I feel about that.
Betrayal.
I'm going to look at that through the lens of expectant. I mean, maybe I'm just that good of an actor.
They said it in the sense that he's has a lot more panache, maybe like a lot more sass.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, sure.
sassy.
Maybe it's just that Cap is so void of sass that Lloyd is the next closest thing to someone who has flavor.
For you, I'm not going to ask you an action question. I'm going to
please.
I'm going to ask you an action question. I asked Ryan this because Ryan said his expectations were sort of shattered in terms of how difficult this was going to be. I know you had probably already shot Bond when you shot these scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So for you, what I loved was in the Janouche scenes, you went for it. Like there was no holding back. There was like a head slam. The whole audience reacted to it. So were your expectations, how was it in terms of what you expected it to be?
I mean, definitely I got a little bit of training and an idea of what it was going to be like getting myself into an action film. But for Bond, it was just very brief. This was another level of complexity and discipline and commitment. I mean, this was months of training and not only the choreographies and rehearsing with Ryan and Danush, but also for me was like training with all these weapons and getting familiar with them. And it was a lot.
And I heard they're notorious for saying, can we reshoot that? Can we reshoot that?
Oh, I wish it would have been a question. I think it was just like... Yeah.
Chris, you don't look happy about that.
I mean, it was, you got to be very patient when this happens because you take 2 weeks to shoot something and all of a sudden it's like, that doesn't work. You need to do it again.
Lloyd has a very specific fighting style, very different from what you've done in the past. Was that an intentional thing? And sort of, how did you get into the sort of the physicality of what he is? Because, like I said, from the way he walked, I was thinking about Lloyd last night after I saw the film. He sticks with you, and that's what a great villain does.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's violent. He's visceral. There's something about him that's a little wild, but he's trained. You know, so it's still going to be from a foundation of understanding a structured form of fighting. It's not a superhero. There's only so much he can accomplish. But it's more about will than it is ability.
And can we talk about this woman's versatility? You went from this to playing Marilyn Monroe. Can you give us like a little bit of a teaser of what we can expect?
Actually, Marilyn was like 3 years ago.
Oh, it was. Okay, so the flip then. How was it going from? And can you give us a little bit of a tease of what we can expect? Another Netflix project.
I think this movie is gonna throw people, you know, in the way it's been told. I think it's not a traditional biopic. It's not literal. It's not conventional. It's not even chronological. It's more like an experience, and the audiences will. The hope is that they will feel what it was like to be her.
Wow.
That was a great explanation. Remember everything you just said. That was great. I was like, damn, I want to see this movie.
Yeah,
that was perfect.
Every grade A wet team from here to Regé-Jean, vying for the prestige of killing the infamous Sierra Six.
Congratulations on the film. You're both incredible in it. I heard you say before that you wanted a role where you were either just sitting or standing.
I love it when comments that we make on the first day of the junket start coming back to us.
But you also said that you love this character because she doesn't care about what people think. And she's unapologetic. As somebody that cares too much about what people think, tell me how liberating that was.
I'm the same. And yeah, it was really liberating. It started on a great note. I went into the studio on day one and I said, let's figure out this hair. I want it to look like she got a haircut 2 years ago and then has been doing it herself in the bathroom, keeping up with it. And we achieved that. And
because there was a joke about your haircut in the film. Was that as a result?
Yes, right.
What's the comment about your hair?
So Lloyd says, I liked you better when you had the haircut that didn't make you look like a...
It's delightful. Just chill.
Isn't he though?
But it's the perfect haircut for her because it looks like a politician, and she kind of is. She is ambiguous. She's morally flexible, and we never quite know where she lies on any topic until the end when she finally reveals her hand. She's very much playing the long game.
Hugely affected though. Like I think you get more done than a lot of characters in this movie.
You do get a lot done. And multifaceted too. And for you, I heard that you said that your character likes to think he's morally ambiguous as well, but he likes to think that he's better than everybody else. So I love that you're grinning when I say that. So how do you challenge?
It's the spirit of Denny coming back upon you.
So how do you get into character when you have to believe that you're better than anybody else? Because I'm assuming you're not like that.
No, you just kind of. It's like taking a holiday from the Britishness. Just kind of you flush all of the politeness out of your system. and then just kind of see what's left in the dark, sticky, shadowy corners that you kind of banish in real life. And I think that's what an audience relishes in a bad guy. Because I think everyone has those corners, and in polite society, we all kind of sit on them and know that we can never go there. And so having characters that can go there for you, that have no moral restraints, they can kind of really lean into just how creepy they can be with Ana de Armas on your behalf, is a real thrill ride. And so it's leaning into all the things that you would never do, and just seeing how far that goes creatively,
Wow. As a Canadian, I kind of understand the reserved nature and the not wanting to be a little.
All you do is
polite.
turn off the Canadian and see what's left.
Did you surprise yourselves?
Every day.
Really?
I surprised myself when I was told to yell at Chris, and they said just go as far as you can. And I don't even know if that's the take that's in the film, but when it happened, like I was frothing at the mouth, and I smacked the table with both my hands, and then as soon as we cut, I was like, ow, it really hurt.
Yeah.
For both of you, because obviously they've already talked about prequels, sequels, I really feel this film is so excellent that it is so deserving of a whole universe.
Aww.
So I'm wondering for each of you, what would you like to explore in your characters? In either fashion, a prequel or a sequel, I'll start with.
I would kind of like a prequel to see the origin of these supervillains. I want to start the film with us being really nice, a really nice trio of friends, and then what happened to make us all so dark,
Being
and
actual
twisty?
good human beings that
Yeah.
somehow got
Get
devolved
corrupted. Yeah.
into these things.
What happened?
Yeah, no, I take that. I think that the joy of how ambiguous all these characters are, how complex they all are morally, is that they can kind of go any direction you want to take them. So it's fun that we have that set up.
I can kill anybody. Maybe not anybody.
It's
Action
Nikki Novak
films.
of Rotten Tomatoes, and the Russo brothers are asking me questions. So go
They
ahead.
What about why?
Yeah, let's not start yet.
So you said that
It's one of my favorite action movies.
you
of
said
all
it's one of your
time.
favorite action films. So but you also said you're not in our demo. Like this isn't.
Yeah, like it's not
traditionally the
typically
movie.
the kind of genre I
Yeah.
go for. What I liked is the relentlessness of it. Just that
Interesting.
it didn't end, it didn't stop. It just
Yes.
went from thing to thing. And even your connector shots between
Yes.
scenes, you had the camera moving really fast and
Yeah.
moving like across cities and above and vistas
Kinetic
and that kind
energy
of-
all throughout the
kinetic
movie.
energy. So maybe I can ask you
Yes.
how you get that pace, because pace is the word that I walked away thinking about.
We wanted a
it's a-
propulsive film. I mean, it's excessive in that regard. When we read the novel, it had excessive action in it. We loved it. It felt like a challenge. We're like, this is the most action I've ever seen in a book ever. And there was a lot of inventive set pieces, all built around a great character who you're rooting for, because none of this works unless you have a character that vibrates warmth and that you want to see succeed, which is why Ryan was so perfect for this character. But the intention was to make you forget to eat your popcorn or put your phone down and just pay attention to the movie, because it starts and it doesn't let you go till it's over.
But for as strange as it may sound, the process, the road to getting to something relentless is the opposite of relentless. It's like it's a very arduous process. It involves a lot of trial and error on our part for months and months and months to get something to the point where it's working.
that
like
dense.
Yeah, like the train sequence, for
Yes.
example. There were shots, it was going so fast that I was trying as an audience to keep up with it,
Yeah.
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
So when you say it has to be slowed down, like also the attention to detail,
Yeah.
you can sort of like walk me through how you sort of, because this to me is even better than anything that I saw in Marvel. Like it's another level.
Oh, that's
Well, look,
great.
Again, Joe and I, our entire process of filmmakers started with our experience as film fans. And our favorite movies were the kind of movies that we could watch over and over and over again. And the reason why you can watch a movie over and over again is because of the level of detail.
Yeah.
Some
The
movies are just
density of the experience.
Yeah, they're woven in a way where there's layers happening in every scene, and you can sometimes on one pass you're sort of living with this layer, on other passes you're living on other layers, and that's a type of film experience that we've always loved. So we try to design our movies in a very similar way. So it is, we're happy that you and hopefully others can find some pleasure in
Speaking of layers, Ryan Gosling, I heard you call him spectacular. I concur. He is unbelievable in this.
Yeah.
And this is really his first big outing as an action star.
That's right.
And then you also said that you don't normally see two big movie stars, like one who's willing to play the villain.
Mm-hmm.
So can you tell me as filmmakers, because I wish a fly in the wall, I wish I could have been there, when you saw the two of them on the lens for the first time, how palpable that energy was.
Well, it's incredible. I mean, it's a cinematic tradition to get, the movie star showdown, and it's rare to find somebody like Chris who is in a comfortable enough place in their career that they want to take risks like that and play a complete sociopath, a very unlikable character. And so it's hard to create this kind of movie, a showdown movie of this scale. We are like little kids. The little kids in us, when we saw them both on set, reminded us of Heat and Face Off and all the, the classic movies where, movie stars would go at each other. And we designed the film specifically to be that. So we're very lucky, fortunate to get two extremely talented actors.
Can you conceptualize what the film would have looked like if they had swapped roles?
Well, it's interesting. Wow. I mean,
that'll take a while to
unpack.
Ryan has an incredibly quirky sense of humor that really informs the Gray Man. He's an existential character. He's an existential crisis. He's never been a free person. He was grew up under an abusive father, went to prison, grew up under spent his adulthood under the abuse of CIA. And so that character needed this levity as a way to deal with the stress that he was going through. And that was really unique to who Ryan is. And Lloyd is this very showy, charismatic, superficial a-hole that, likes to take over a room when he walks into it. And, Chris has the ability to just exude charisma on screen. So I have a hard time imagining them swapping roles, but because they're both so perfectly suited for what they did in the movie.
But it would be fun to make them try.
Yeah, it would be.
Sequel, Will Rick Danush, he brings such a different acrobatic energy. Then they're sort of like the powerhouses in a sense. They have very different fighting styles, but can you talk about when he came to set and sort of the experience and grace that he brought?
Yes.
Yeah. No, Danush he's an incredible screen presence. And he comes out of a very different tradition in India, and he is as good as anybody gets coming out of that tradition. The fact that we were able to work with him on that role for this film is like an incredible gift. But yeah, that's part of the fun of the film, is that especially when you're crafting this many action sequences and you have this large of an ensemble, you're looking for what kind of unique flavor, energy, voice each character can bring to the table that helps us fashion a fight or a conflict moment of action around a different idea or tone. And Danush brought an incredibly fresh tone into the movie. And we've noticed so far, we've been at a few screenings, audiences really respond strongly to what he's done. Yeah.
Who decided to call for Chris's character to call Ryan's character Kendall? Whose idea was that?
We tried to unpack it. Yeah.
Is it scripted? Might have even been Evan's pitch.
It's possible. I don't know. Yeah. Sometimes the ideas flows so fast. It's like, who knows?
Weirdly, it predated Ryan's commitment to the role. So
stop.
Yes, we like to think that we willed that into existence.
They'll have something they really want. What's your gut? It's going to be my funeral you're going to next.
I wanted to ask you, what is it like working with this legend? She's already worked with the Russo brothers, Tarantino. Now she's working with Spielberg.
Exactly.
What's it like?
The legend? Well, no, we just did a Q&A for a screening the other night. And they asked me a question, and the guy was too far away from me, and I didn't quite hear what he asked me, so I just thought, I'll answer anything. And I assumed, because they usually ask you, the first question is, what made you accept this project? And I said, I've been wanting to work with Julia Butters since I was a teenager.
My favorite answer to anything ever.
That is adorable. I love it. And I might have seen that Q&A, and I might have heard that you should get a screenwriter credit, young lady, for this film, because you improvised a line that the Russo brothers were like, yes, let's put that in. So tell me a little bit about that.
That was amazing. We weren't even really, I don't even know if we were filming my coverage, but it wasn't a close-up. We had already done my close-up. And now we were on maybe Chris or a wide shot. And I was about to turn and leave, and I turned back and I said, kick his ass. And Ryan went, we kind of looked at everyone like, oh, right, I gotta stay in it. Because I wasn't the kind of, I don't think I was the kind of person to usually do that. So I came back out. And they said, all right, we're going to do your close-up again because we really liked that. And I was so excited.
You rattled Ryan.
Yeah. What? What? I can't believe it. So I was stoked. And I honestly, every time I watch it now, I'm going to be like, yes.
Now, I saw you do like a little mini impression of the Russo brothers. Sort of, can you do an impression of how they give direction?
I'm better at doing Billy.
Oh, do Billy. Do Billy. That's even better.
I didn't know that.
Really?
Okay, yeah.
Well, when you talk like Billy, you gotta bring it to the depths of your being and kind of talk through your breath. But also, when you do the W's, you gotta when.
That's amazing.
Yay, thank you.
That's amazing. My wife and my daughter both are on me every day for putting the H in when and what.
It's amazing. Never change it. It's my favorite.
Okay.
Now I got to ask you a very pressing question.
Yes.
You're de-aged in this film. First of all, how was it shooting that and sort of seeing yourself? But also, there's a very key prop in the film, watermelon bubblicious. Do you remember watermelon bubblicious? And yeah, your thoughts on sort of that scene.
Well, my era was more into double bubble, to tell you the truth. So this was, for me, Bubblicious was like a new thing. But yeah, Bubblicious was like, yeah, that was something they put in there. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty funny.
And the de-aging and all, like filming that and sort of seeing yourself and watching the film.
And what now?
Do you like they sort of de-aged? I guess in CG and post production.
For the reshoot. Yeah, for the first scene with me and Ryan.
But do you physically when you're shooting that, do you sort of like mimic, sort of like maybe you go back to your older roles or look at it or think about it as you're filming it?
Not really. No. I mean, the hair and makeup people just do their thing, and because I'm in my mid-30s now, and when you have to go back to 21. It's I have memories of that, so it's not. I don't have to dig too deep.